I never made it, but I know what it takes. I'm motivated by a mix of emotion. Got my statement.
But my experience coming through that entire process started out feeling through school sort of unfulfilled. Kind of bored, like, okay, yeah, we have to do these rigid set of subjects. I went to Immaculate. Any ICHS girls in the house? Woo! Yes! Right. Be quiet. Yeah, I went to Immaculate, and they have a rigid structure. So you have to do a science, you have to do a foreign language, you have to do IT, you have to do math, you have to do English language, you have to do English literature, and then you get to choose 2 subjects of your own, right? So coming through that entire structure, you have a very rigid system that you're going through. You have a path as well, or you're going to go to university, and then you're going to get a job. Yeah, the job. Graduate university, first class honors, good, everything is great. And then you leave university, and you start doing interviews. Hey, we love you. You're great for the job. Yeah, the salary is $60,000. First class honors, remember that? Yeah. So that was disappointing. Yeah? And so throughout that entire journey, I made a decision that I really wanted to do something on my own. I wanted to launch, I wanted to branch out and start my own business. And that really has been the impetus and the motivation behind me starting my own business, right? So, I want a quick hands up, and you can keep your hands up once you identify with any one of these. Hands up if you have an Instagram account, if you have a Facebook account, if you have a Twitter. Keep the hands up if you identify with any one of these. If you have a YouTube, Pinterest, Blogger, WordPress account. Great. So everybody who has their hands up or who put up their hands at any point in time, you guys already have the most powerful tools that you need in order to make sure that you're successful in branching off and launching whatever business, regardless of the industry, regardless of where you are and the resources that you have. You can put your hands down. Yeah. So you already have the tools that you need to push you and to carry you to the next level, honestly. Right now, we're living in the most interesting era, a time that really allows you to be one at home once you have a good internet connection and be able to touch and transform the lives of people around the world. It really doesn't matter what your interests are. If you really love baking, sharing your creations and showing how you do your presentations, that can really make the biggest difference and the biggest impact on your own community. You don't have to start big. You don't have to have everything figured out. And it really doesn't matter what your point of interest is. Once you're dedicated to your craft, once you take the time to invest in yourself, once you are really committed to what you're doing, so you can continue continuously posting, continuously putting together what you want to offer the world. Your social media profile is your brand. And if you think about social media in that way, if you think about what you put out into the world and how you represent yourself as your brand and what you are showcasing to the world, then you'll really go about your posting and what you put out differently. Solidifying that point, it's really the best time to be an entrepreneur. You really don't need any connections. Historically, we've lived in a society and a world where you really rely on links to navigate, get this job or get a spot in to a particular industry. But right now, if you can represent yourself in the best way possible, if you can pull your tools together and show what you have to offer, you don't have to have big degree. You really don't. You don't have to go overseas and study. You don't have to have a lot of money. You really can start with the tools and the things that you have right now, the phone in your pocket and the Wi-Fi where you catch somewhere and pick up to start something, honestly. Quick question of, fine, who is an entrepreneur? An entrepreneur is somebody who is a problem solver. It's somebody who is a creative thinker and who is an innovator. So going back to the idea that you don't have to be restricted as relates to what field that you're interested in. Once you're willing to put in the work, to find a need, to identify that need and fulfill it in your own way, you are providing something unique to the table. It's hard work. Entrepreneurship is hard work, but the potential is limitless. And your feedback and what you can gain from it is also limitless. So I'd love for you to think about, and you can write in your notes, what would you do if you could not fail? Like, take a second and step back and think about it. What would you do if you knew that you had no possibility of failing? Something that's not illegal. Thanks. Yeah? Because it really takes you understanding and knowing yourself, understanding your gifts and what you have to offer to the world, so that you can come up with that next strategy. Every single thing that you've used, the chairs you're sitting on, the pen that you're using to write, the paper, that started with someone who had an idea. You are not too small. You don't come from the smallest dot on the map, so you can't do it. You have the potential, you have the ability to do anything in the world. And if you start thinking with the restrictions of the physical infrastructure where you are right now, you can literally get anywhere. You can go beyond what you can even imagine right now. Ultimately, you're in charge of your success. Next. And just to solidify that, these are snippets of things that I've done in my short time and existence. I started a jewelry and handmade accessories company while I was at UWI. And literally just starting to create my few stuff and posting on Instagram. One of the editors at The Gleaner contacted me to give me a feature while I was in second year at UWI. Like, honestly, like, how does that happen? When does that happen? But that's a tool and that's the power that you have right now. Another instance, I got contacted, same Gleaner. Denique was highlighting her wet swim. She has her swimsuit line and stuff, and they needed accessories, so they called me. I invested in my education, and so I continued with iCreate, Tyrone, who just presented to you. And through that connection, got invited to go on Smile Jamaica to talk about my business. Now, in light of all of that, and saying all of that, you really have to prepare before the opportunity comes up. You can't wait until the opportunity presents itself to say, oh my gosh, I need to do this and I need to do that. You have to be prepared. So unless you're prepared, you won't get here. Next. And I'd just like to leave you with, what would happen if you don't decide to follow your dreams? That's the part that we don't really think about. Yeah, we'd love to have the nice car, we'd love to have the big house, we'd love to be able to afford all of these different things, but if you really stop and ask yourself, what would happen if I don't follow my dreams? That will really give you the motivation and incentive to do what you have to do to get where you need to be. All right? And the last slide is just my contact information. If anybody has any questions, because this is a really limited time period, if you have any questions or if you want to bounce any ideas off me at all, please feel free to email me or send me a DM. These are my handles at the Digital Marketing Chick, Zola J.A., and I am Monique McIntosh, or send me an email, info@thedigitalmarketingchick.com. All right? Thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you so much, Monique. I'm going to ask you to remain on the platform, please. as we're going to do our expected question and answer. Our expected question and answer. And also our offers of token. So is there anyone in the audience who would like to ask a question to either Monique or Tyrone's representative because he had to leave? So one question, sure. Do we have a mic in the audience? Or just run. Introduce yourself, name, school, and your question.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm from St. George's College. My name is Zachary Smith. The question is from Monique. I'm very interested in digital marketing and what it has to offer. What would be the requirements as a student, not yet enrolled in tertiary education, for me to do or specialize in graphics for advertising?
Okay, great. Love the question, Zachary. The requirements is to start. The requirements is literally to have an email address, right? To start on social. You really asked two questions in one. So the first is in terms of starting on social media, literally. The phone in your pocket is the requirement. It's really up to your creativity and how far you decide to push yourself or to push those bounds. It doesn't matter what type of phone you have. It doesn't have to be the latest iPhone. It doesn't have to be the fanciest anything. Once you're able to use your creativity, and Jamaicans, we're super creative, you can go down a Fleet Street and go take some picture. The big people like Christia Franklin, My Repeat Offender, all of those stuff, that's what they do. You know, you don't have the big budget to have no big production. Use what you have, use the tools that you have to start. The key is start and be consistent. You can apply the same principles in terms of graphic design. What I would say is in the world of social media, DMs are your friend. So contact a graphic designer, not one, many. Just send out enough message, yeah? As Nicole was saying, you're the pest. Who cares, yeah? Use up those contacts because that gives you reach to CEOs, to head honchos, to people around the world that you, little Zachary, me, little Monique, would not have access to otherwise, yeah?
All right, thank you so much, Monique.
And more importantly, to add to Monique's comment, remember, even though these aren't the traditional jobs, you still speak to them and you still address them.
Formally, yes.
Right.
Full sentences.
It's another big thing.
Punctuation.
Don't say, how much for design this?
Yeah.
How much for that?
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
We'll take the next question.
All right, next question. Go ahead. His name is Carl, by the way.
Excuse me. Hello, Mr. Carl. I actually have a question for Monique. Sorry.
All right, go ahead.
Hello, my name is Summer Scott from the Herbert Morrison Technical High School.
Hey.
As a start off, I am beginning my own craft business, my own jewelry business. As a young entrepreneur myself,
Yes.
where do you think I can get the information to build up more? I already have, or starting off what you said before, social media, pesting the headhunters. But in terms of getting my brand out there and actually starting production-wise, what points do you have for me?
Okay. So there's this awesome place called the JBDC, Jamaica Business Development, I think it's Corporation Center. Okay. The jury's out, but JBDC, right? They're on Marcus Garvey Road Drive, yeah, downtown. They have a lot of resources available for crafters, specifically, right? They have a lot of courses available as well that will help you through conceptualization, testing, all of those stuff, packaging, branding, all of those stuff, right? Also, the biggest teacher of all, YouTube, Pinterest, and good old trial and error. A lot of the times we don't realize the tools and the resources that we have available. You have your own tool and them, use them. Like try. Nobody excels starting with the winning product. You heard Tyrone, he started with easy in something. That doesn't exist anymore. It's transformed and it's morphed. And it's still transforming. That's the only way that you're going to stay relevant. So the key really is that you like something, you're interested in it, you try it. If it's not working this way, tweak it a little bit, ask for feedback, and use that back into your craft. And DM me Zola, and we can talk.
Thank you.
All right,
Yeah,
thank you
thank
so much, Monique.
Yeah.
Final question? Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Mr. Carl. So, this might sound like I'm asking for a job because
It
I
is.
am. So, I'm a first-year animation student at the VTDI, and I'd like to know, do you guys do something with anything with animation? Do you have internships, and how can I get one?
I'm happy for that question. All right. So as you guys know, at iCreate Institute, we train a lot of people. Now that I'm counting in my head, we started last year January, and already we've trained over 800 individuals. Sorry.
I'm an
Past student right here, which is why I'm standing here smiling. I'm really proud of her. Monique, you're doing great things.
Thank you.
All right. So what has happened in recent months is that we're being approached by a lot of companies asking for individuals we've trained specifically in animation, whether it's graphic design, digital marketing. So we formed a database where we actually send out these job descriptions to our past students. I think you've received some of them, right? Right. So it's harmless to include you because we're all about the creative economy. So at the end, you can come to me with the details, and I'll add it to our database. And anybody else in here who would like.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So this young man to my right has been pressing for the question, so I think it's geared to both of them.
Yeah, it's a digital question entirely. But all right, Andrew Woolery, J-TEC, forensic chemistry major. So seeing that we have traditional jobs and the upcoming and the globalization of technology so forth, how do we tie that into the traditional jobs? How do you see the traditional jobs getting more digital, etc.?
Well, I think both of us will answer. You want to start?
I mean, it all comes down to innovation. Innovation is the only way to basically transform a job. When you think about it, there are a lot of people now still in the traditional jobs, traditional professions, I should say. Sorry, professions. And what they've done is they've decided to incorporate digital into their whole operational process, whether it's just starting an Instagram page, sharing information. People might think, oh, they're so helpful, they're just sharing information. But really, that's a marketing tool, that's content marketing. They're sharing this information with the intention that whenever you think of this craft, whether it's a doctor and they're just sharing information, whether it's, who's it? I think it was Dr. Pimple Pop or Dr. Miami, when they show their work, they're showcasing their work. Why are they doing that? Because whenever you start thinking about that profession, they are top of mind.
Right. Yes, and the only thing that I'd like to add to that is that you don't have to wait for the industry to align these two different fields in order to start doing it yourself. Like the way that you're gonna get the best returns is literally through innovation, through starting something and trying something. You're creative people, and for years, I know you're kind of restricted based on, okay, do this, do that. Now it's time to unlearn and just explore. Literally, you're only limited by your imagination and your creativity.
All right, thank you so much, Monique and Carl. At this time, JMB will be giving the tokens to both speakers, to Carl on behalf of Tyrone. You may go ahead.
So we're going to start with Carl Karam on behalf of Tyrone Wilson. Give him a round of applause. Woo! And he says, Tyrone says, thank you.
All right, and Monique McIntosh.
The digital marketing chick. Give her a round of applause.
Lich, me know say your friend, you know say yeah.
Yeah, man, I'm proud of her. Bad.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you so much to both presenters and to the presenter from JMB. And it's what time? What time?
I never made it,